What's going on, everybody? It's your man C. Dougie coming to you with breaking news, talking about the Dallas Cowboys keeping Mike McCarthy as their head coach. Um, I know a lot of news. A lot of people were not expecting this news at this time of night. It is 15 minutes before 8 here locally in Dallas, Texas. So me and my guy AJ, hopefully get our guy Quan to join us tonight. We definitely did not expect this news to come about. At this particular hour. We thought this news would have came earlier throughout the offseason with the Cowboys. But I'm going to go ahead and let my guy AJ on, and we're going to go ahead and break this down, man. What's going on, AJ?
What's going on, man? What's going on with y'all? Doing good, man. Ready to get straight into this news.
Yo, like I said, me and my guy AJ, I was just laying in bed ready to watch my Tar Heels. And as everybody has seen, the Dallas Cowboys are bringing back Mike McCarthy for the 2024 season. Initially, my thoughts were living here, listening to the grumbles, being around fans. I thought that Mike McCarthy would have been fired possibly Monday afternoon. I didn't think going into Thursday he would be able to retain his job and be able to still be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. If you just look at how the game went, if you look at how the players gave up, if you can see the look on Mike McCarthy's face, he thought that his job was gone. Nobody thought the Green Bay Packers, except for the Green Bay Pack faithful, thought that they were going to come into Jerry's World and demolish the Dallas Cowboys like they did. How do you feel so far, AJ?
I expect this to happen. I expect them to lose, but not to lose in that fashion. And the thing is with the Cowboys, you're paying a lot of players that are overrated. The only people that hold these Cowboy players up in high regard are Cowboy fans. That's it. You look at what the Packers did to them on Saturday, it was just disgraceful for the Cowboys to even have a start in the helmet. And it's the same situation over and over again. In the past, it's been the San Francisco 49ers. Now it's the Green Bay Packers. Now I understand they haven't beat the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs in a long time. But the Packers basically did the same thing the 49ers do. Go out there, run the football, use a fullback, and just run the way down the field because the defensive coordinator and Dan Quinn.
So I would say this. I thought it was going to be a clear house. We know ESPN. We know Skip Bayless. You know the Shannon Sharps, the Stephen A's, Michael Irvin, Coach Jimmy Johnson. All Cowboy Nation was thinking it's time to clean house. And for me, the problem is not the coaches. It's not the players. It's Jerry Jones. I don't know any other leadership that has a three-headed monster where you have a round table of a group of collective to make one decision because they can't trust you to make the right decision for this team. I know, like AJ said, when we were talking behind stage a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about does Jerry Jones really does Dak Prescott deserve to get another contract? I don't even know what that contract looks like. But again, it goes to Jerry Jones bringing in Trey Lance, and that had a whole uproar in the locker room while you're bringing somebody that got his job taken from one quarterback that was in the last rounds of the draft. So again, it's so many heads where Jerry wants to be the head of the snake, but the head of the snake is letting the organization down.
It's a Jerry Jones problem for sure, but the team isn't bad. When you look at the team that they have good players. They just can't make it over the hump. And before I get into the players with the team, I want to piggyback off what you just said. When the Dallas Cowboys beat the Washington Commanders on Thanksgiving Day, you went to that game. So you was in the building. This man sat up here in the press conference and said it was one of the happiest days of his life, one of the best wins he saw, even over some of those Super Bowl wins. You're saying this about a team that only had 2 wins at the time.
Facts.
Well, 3 wins at the time. You're happy to beat that team that only got 3 wins. You said that that's your Super Bowl in a way. So when players hear that, oh man, we did our job. We done made Jerry happy because that's all they care about. We make Jerry happy. Everything else will fall into place. That's all that matters. And they have a group of individuals that play well. They don't play well as a team. That's the problem with the Cowboys. You look at the Packers, they play together as a unit. The 49ers, they play together as a unit. The Cowboys play as individuals. When you hear about the Cowboys last couple of years, they'll say Dez Bryant is one of the best receivers. DeMarco Murray is a good running back. Tony Romo's a good quarterback as well. But as a team in the playoffs, they get exposed every single year, whether it's due to coaching or the quarterback change or whoever. And it starts with Jerry, like you said. He's been through Jason Garrett. Now we're dealing with Mike McCarthy. And Mike McCarthy's record's not bad with this team. He's won 45 games with them. But at the same time, when is enough enough? Jerry Jones has to step back and say, man, you know what? I'm done. This is the same man that wanted to go out and draft Johnny Manziel over Zach Martin until his son told him to chill out. We need to go and get the offensive line instead of getting the big name. And that's what they always do. They get the big name. The Cowboys are known for big names and their talent. They're not known for being a good overall team. You look at majority of the wins they got this season, it's impressive to beat the Commanders by 40, but the Commanders are a bad football team. The Giants are a bad football team. And we saw what the Eagles are when they just got blown out by Tampa Bay. They're bad too. But when it's time to beat teams like the San Francisco 49ers, you can't compete with them. That's why no one takes this team, this organization seriously, because he will go out and make that statement, beating a Commanders team, that's a better win than some of the Super Bowls I've gotten. It just makes zero sense to me.
So I'm even allude to go back where I've been to 2 Cowboys games for the content for the channel, just a fan of football. 2 games I was able to go to when they played the Patriots. I was not impressed at all. You had Matt Jones, and then they flipped in the backup. What is the backup's name, AJ?
Cooper Rush.
No, for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, Cooper Rush.
No, not for the Cowboys, the Patriots.
Bailey Zappi.
Zappi. You had Patriots fans calling for Bill Belichick's job and then calling for Blake Zappi to come in the game. Both of the games I went to, I was not impressed. The defense is phenomenal, but at the same time, whenever they played a team that has been above 500, what has the Dallas Cowboys done? They have faltered and they have failed. Just look at how they play the Detroit Lions. They play with fire, regardless of Dickers being eligible or not. Dallas Cowboys have problems with teams over 500. And for me, the Green Bay Packers have more wins than the Dallas Cowboys have in their own stadium during the playoffs. Again, I will say that again. The Green Bay Packers have more playoff wins in AT&T Stadium than the Dallas Cowboys do. Again, Jerry Jones is great for profit. He's great for marketing. But when you, again, like AJ said, when he has to build a team, it's the big name. Because just imagine if they did get Johnny Manziel. You're looking at ticket prices. And as soon as Johnny Manziel did what he did at Cleveland, what's going to happen? You're going to be back to square one. Let me see. We got a question right here, AJ. Quick question. Do you think Dak is the right quarterback for this team? And how does AJ feel about the Parsons long term? All right, so I'm going to answer this. I appreciate that question, Darnell. It's crazy that you say that is because AJ said he wanted to talk about Michael Parsons. For me, I don't think Dak Prescott is because of the fans. I think Dak Prescott really took offense to them getting Trey Lance. He really didn't say too much in the media, but it was more of you didn't consult me as being your franchise quarterback to actually bring another quarterback in. His numbers were the best that he's ever had with the Cowboys, but I think he had to because there was, fire underneath him. Like, hey, if you don't perform, we got a young cat right behind us that we just traded for that's not going to cost us a lot of money. I'm going to let AJ jump into that. And again, if people have questions, go ahead and drop the questions. We're going to be here all night talking about the Cowboys, man.
So I'm going to get into the Dak question first. But shout out to Darnell. I know who that is. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe here too. And that's for y'all in the chat too, man. Go and subscribe to my boy. What's up, Dub, man? Hit over 1,000 a month ago. Well deserved.
Yes, sir.
But I do want to say this about Dak. I want to watch what I say. He's not a bad quarterback at all. He doesn't deserve $40 to $50 million a year. I put him in the same category with guys like Derek Carr. Now, he's better than Derek Carr, but I put him in the same category with guys like Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins. They're good regular season quarterbacks, but in the playoffs, they're not going to be the reason why you win football games. Dak Prescott only had 9 interceptions this year, 36 passing touchdowns, the most passing touchdowns in the NFL. Within the first plays against the Green Bay Packers, you saw him get exposed immediately. When the lights are on bright, he's going to fold. Against tougher competition, those numbers don't mean anything. Look at what he did against the San Francisco 49ers. Got completely blown out in that game. He looked terrible. Look at what the Arizona Cardinals did. The former defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jonathan Gannon, he exposed them. Against tough competition, he gets exposed. Look at what happened to the Detroit Lions. They should have lost that game, but they had the referees in their pocket. He choked late in that game as well. Look at what happened against the Seattle Seahawks. All those holding penalties that weren't holding penalties. You see, the thing is with the Cowboys and Dak, they call for flags, but when they can't get those flags, they get exposed. The same with Micah Parsons. I want to tie this into that question too. See, this is my thing with Micah Parsons. Good player. Not saying that he's not. They move him around. He's the inside linebacker. He's a pass rusher. The thing is with Micah Parsons, and I say it over and over again, stop putting him in the same conversation with guys like TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and Nick Bosa. He is not that type of pass rusher. He is based off of speed. That's it. He doesn't like physicality. When you put some physical guys on him, that's when he starts to go down. Zach Tom, the tackle for the Packers, went out there and dominated him from sideline to sideline. And he's sitting up here acting like his ribs hurt. His ribs wasn't hurt. His feelings was hurt. He didn't have a problem. Yeah, he didn't have a problem with his ribs until they went down after the third quarter. Now he holding his stomach. Ain't nothing wrong with his stomach. He's ashamed because he can't get to the quarterback. And when Micah Parsons can't get to the quarterback, look at what Brock Purdy did to him. It's a parade on him. They can't stop the run because Dan Quinn is a terrible defensive coordinator. And that's a different conversation later on down the line in this live stream. But when it comes to Micah Parsons, he's overrated just like Dak Prescott. Not bad players, but the Cowboys have such a huge market. You can look decent on the team, they'll try to make you a superstar. Look how it is with the Lakers in the NBA. If you average 20 points a game, they're going to say you were a big-time player. But when you come against tough competition, it's not that way. It's just because they play for a big market team and they have that star in their helmet.
So I'm gonna follow up with that. Would you call Dak Prescott a manager of the game and not a playmaker? Meaning that he's not in that tier one. What tier? So basically, what tier would you put Dak Prescott right now?
So tier one would be Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. I put him. Then you got Lamar in tier one too. He's not a game changer. I'll say he's like a tier 2, tier 3 quarterback. He's not a game changer. He's like a game manager. He's best when he's a game manager. When Dak was at his best before this year, it was Ezekiel Elliott's team. That's when he's at his best, when he can work off the run game. Most quarterbacks that are the top quarterbacks in the NFL, like a Joe Burrow, like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, the offense is predicated off of them, and they win when it matters the most. When it comes down to Dak, we've seen it for the last couple of years. And that's another thing, too, with Mike McCarthy. I could have sworn that he went before this season started and said, we want to run the football more. They passed the football more this season.
More this year, rather than killing more. That is a fact.
Dak just had 60 pass attempts in a game. Granted, they were down. But his attempts were the most in the last 4 years with this team, with the exception of the year that he hurt his leg and he broke his leg. And he said they wanted to run the football more. Not only could you not run the football consistently because Tony Pollard's not an every down back, you sit up here, you fired Kellen Moore, who was a solid offensive coordinator, and they got rid of Ezekiel Elliott in the process as well.
So for me, I've seen Dak in person. He's a great guy. The community loves him. He actually got the Walter Payton Sportsmanship Award. Basically goes out to the person that's big in their community. He got it last year. So the fans love him, but then they hate him as well because when he doesn't produce, just like what happened on Sunday. For me, I think Dak is a lower tier 2, high tier 3. If you take away CD Lamb, you take away what Pollard is able to do. Um, you take away Brandon Cooks finally getting comfortable with Dak. What does Dak really have? And then just look at it. Most of those balls, when it was thrown to CD, was it Dak actually being precise with the ball, or was it CD Lamb trying to work for a contract this year?
CD trying to work for a contract this year because he's never had this type of year before.
He has not. He has
He's
not.
never had this type of year before. And that's another thing too. You're gonna have to pay Micah, Dak, and CD. That's almost impossible. This is almost impossible.
Well, AJ alluded to it. I'm not going to give him 40, 45 to 50 million. And the way you had that first half, you threw a pick 6, then you threw a pick, and then you almost threw a pick before we scored right before a half. Again, I think coaching and playing goes hand in hand with Dak. Most of the time, I say you can outperform your coaches, but Dak needs good coaching and good weapons around him to have the type of season that he's had. I also think with Dak, I think is he going to take the money? Because again, they also have Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was franchise tag. That's another person that you have to pay now. So it's a lot of questions. I know we're gonna get into Dan Quinn, but again, I don't want to say a rebuild, but you got to clean house. And a lot of people use rebuild and clean house in the same term. That's not what we're getting at. But you have to do something when it comes towards, Jerry making decisions. Did he make an executive decision, or did he actually talk to the round table? Because to me, outside of Aaron Rodgers, what has Mike McCarthy shown you in the playoffs?
How to choke.
You can win all the games you want in the regular season. When it's put up or shut up, again, what has Dak Prescott and what has Mike McCarthy shown you?
I'll say this about Mike McCarthy. I don't think he's a bad coach. Like his record with the Cowboys is 45, me is 42-25, and he's 1-3 in the playoffs. I don't think it's all on Mike. I think it's that culture with Jerry Jones. At the same time, when you're the main offensive play caller, that is a bad look to have Dak go out there and throw those interceptions. Now, people were getting open. That's what I can say. You can't say that the team around Dak is bad. That's something that you alluded to earlier. He has CeeDee Lamb. He has Tony Pollard. Micah Gallup didn't have the best season, but he was good in that game against the Packers. And you also have Jake Ferguson as well.
Yeah, Ferguson, correct.
Who's a good tight end. The thing is with Dak, I just feel like when the lights get on the brightest, man, he's just not a playoff caliber quarterback. And I see somebody in the chat. Who is that? Randy
Collins.
Yeah, can you pull that up real quick?
Yeah, I was trying to get into that once you got done. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to get into what he has said. What should the Cowboys do in y'all opinion? Yeah, there's no better quarterback than Dak. Right now, it's not, and that's what make it so helpless for this team because there's no one else better than Dak on the roster. I mean, you could say Cooper Rush, but Cooper Rush isn't a real starting quarterback. You could say Trey Lance.
Hold on, AJ. When you say that though, before they played Philly again, Cooper Rush was winning, except for that game last year when they lost to the Eagles, and they did not get blown out.
Yeah,
when
but
Dak did not play. They did not get blown out because of Cooper Rush. It was because of everybody else. So it could be a system where is Dak a system quarterback because the numbers did not falter. The numbers did not look different when Cooper Rush is a starting quarterback.
That's true, but he was mainly just feeding one wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, and that was it.
They also had Schultz too. You remember Schultz was definitely getting a lot of touches as well when Cooper Rush was there. Now he's at Houston.
My thing is this too. Isn't he a free agent after this year?
Who?
Cooper.
I'm not sure. We looked on their website. I didn't see their free agents quite yet. So yeah, I know
he's
look at.
I think he's alluding to either Cooper or Trey Lance. Trey Lance is the unknown. You don't know what he is.
So what you're saying that, AJ, do you think San Fran really gave up on Trey Lance and just gave the keys to Brock Purdy. Because you just said we don't know anything about Trey
Man,
Lance. But when you look at it, they really got him for
Brock,
nothing during the
Brock
offseason
is
with San Francisco.
Brock is just that good though. Because look at it this way: if Brock didn't perform like this, everybody is saying fire Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch because they let him go. Brock is
Yep.
just that good. That's how I feel. Brock is just that good. My thing is with Trey Lance, even coming out of North Dakota State, I wasn't the highest on him personally. He's a project quarterback. He can be something. The thing is, when him and his ceiling, how do we know that he's just not another Dak Prescott? That's just more explosive in the run game. The only
Yep.
thing that he did well in college was not turn the football over. That was it.
And I see Randy made another point. And again, appreciate everybody pulling up. Like I said, we're gonna be here. We're talking strictly about the Cowboys. You know, any Cowboy fans, definitely tell them to hit the link. We definitely gonna break it down. We have not read the statement that Jerry Jones has came out and said publicly. We will get into that here in a few moments. But I like what Randy just asked as well. He said, I think we should go out and get Bill, in my opinion. Dan Quinn got to go though. So AJ and I were talking. I see our guy Quan. I definitely see you in the chat, my guy. Yes, like you said, hit that like button for us as well. Like we said, share the video. The thing that I'm looking at is I think Bill either did not want to come to Dallas or Jerry couldn't loom him to Dallas. It's a lot of coaching, a lot of interviews going on, a lot of virtual interviews going on. When the 22nd hits, you'll be able to actually meet with these coaches in person. But I think a lot of people are setting up to go ahead and have their finalists, either 3 or 2, and start giving these jobs out. I think once Pete Carroll said that he's going to be an advisor for the Seattle Seahawks, I think that was Dan Quinn's notion to go ahead and head back to Seattle, where he helped win them a Super Bowl, being a D coordinator, before he got the job going to Atlanta, then got fired, and then went to Dallas. I think Bill is also going to be the head coach of Atlanta Falcons. And you can go ahead and date stamp this. I really think he's going to be the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. But also, I think the problem with that, his time has passed. Just like Tom Brady, it's time for him to just walk away from the game. It may be hard for Bill Belichick to do that, but I also think that's another reason why the marriage of Bill and Jerry was not going to work, because they're going to butt heads. And Jerry is a type of owner that wants to have a say-so in everything. And I don't think Bill Belichick is going to allow that to happen. Just look at the relationship with Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick. Robert Kraft never stepped on Bill Belichick's toes. Go ahead, AJ.
We got some. I think we got a couple more questions in. I was looking around the chat, but far as what he asked about going out and getting Bill, let me tell you something, man, about what you said with Bill. I said this in a Falcons video a couple of days ago. I'm with you. I think he's going to go to the Falcons, and the Falcons will be from underneath Bill Belichick in the next year or two. That Patriot way is dead. That Patriot way really never existed. Danny Amendola said it best. We worked for Bill. We played for Tom. That is something that went over everybody's head. That was the Tom Brady way. Tom Brady took that culture, went to Tampa Bay, and won a ring. What has Bill done without Tom in the last couple of years?
Nothing. It's the
When you
same
really
way.
look at it,
It's the same way Mike McCarthy is. Nothing.
when you really look at it, and when you really take a deep look at what Bill Belichick has done without Brady and with the roster decisions, it's been terrible. I think the Cowboys made the right move by not bringing him in. That's how I feel. Because if you bring him in, you're going to be in some trouble, because he's going to want to control everything. He's going to want to do stuff his way. And the way that I look at the Dallas Cowboys right now, they are a team that they go to their own beat. They do what Jerry allows them to do. Bill Belichick is hard on discipline. A lot of players not going for that. You saw what happened a couple years ago when they did the play that went into overtime with the Raiders. The lateral play. The old players the old Bill Belichick wouldn't have taken that. But they just said, man, you know what? Forget it. We're gonna go off the grid. This man don't know what he's talking about. So they just went and did their own thing. But I want to bring these numbers up first. With Tom Brady for 18 years, he was 249-75. He won 17 division championships. He was 30-11 in the playoffs. 9 Super Bowl appearances, 6 Super Bowl wins. Without Tom Brady, he's 84-103. in general. That's a 45% completion rate of a win rate. 0 division championships from 2020-18 with Tom Brady, 30 postseason wins. From 2019 to 2023, 0 postseason wins and got blown out by the Buffalo Bills on the road. And that's with the roster he drafted. So missing out on Bill Belichick is not the biggest thing.
And the quarterback, that's a big notion too, AJ. The quarterback. Again, that is the reason why I think everything is going to falter. And I'll say this. If their new head coach Mayo does get, is it Josh Daniels? I don't know if I'm saying his right name, but
yeah, Josh McDaniels.
Yes, from LSU.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels. If they get Jaden Daniels, watch out. Because again,
they're all in on Drake May.
That ain't gonna happen because I think Drake's gonna go 1 or 2 unless somebody trades for him. But if they get Drake May, I'll be happy. Shout out to the Tar Heels, man.
I think the Commanders might rock it back with Sam though. That's the thing.
It depends on that coach. And again, that's why we're here. That is why we're here, because the first domino outside of Mayo, Mike McCarthy is staying in Dallas. I'll go ahead and read what
read the statement.
All right, so this is a statement from General Manager Jerry Jones. I believe this team is very close and capable of achieving our ultimate goal, and the best step forward for us will be with Mike McCarthy as our head coach. There is a great benefit in continuing the team's progress under Mike's leadership as a head coach. And if AJ, you need to stop me, just tell me, hold on, Doug. There are many layers of success that have occurred this season as a result of Mike's approach to leading the team, both with individual players and with our team collectively. Mike has the highest regular season winning percentage of any head coach in Dallas Cowboy history, and we will dedicate ourselves in partnership with him to translate that into reaching our postseason goals. Certainly, Mike's career has demonstrated postseason success at a high level, and we have great confidence that it can continue. All right. Right there, before I even say anything, Jerry Jones is the problem because, again, you're comparing regular season success to postseason success. Again, without one of the best quarterbacks that ever played the game in Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy has showed you absolutely nothing. Just like Bill Belichick, sometimes your time is just past. And again, for him to say he's the leader in the most regular season wins don't win you championships.
Let me say this right here.
What'd you say, AJ?
Let me say this right here, man. So when you read this statement, I was just taking all that in. Yeah, I see you laughing. I was just taking all that in, man. He just sat up here and said that he's a leader in all regular season wins, right?
Correct.
Does the regular season get you a Super Bowl?
I just said.
I thought that's what we was here for. Ain't that the ultimate goal? Didn't Jerry Johnson
ultimate goal?
Didn't Jerry say a couple years ago if he could buy one, he would? He said that he wants a Super Bowl. Yes, you have to win enough regular season games to get to the playoffs. That's true. But at the same time, and I like Mike McCarthy. I think that McCarthy is a good coach with the right quarterback, but I think it's time for him to hang it up. You can't sit up here one moment after the game against the Packers that you lost and say it was a devastating loss, one of the worst losses I've ever seen. I need to evaluate everything. And come back within 72 hours and say, man, you know what? I like what I saw. I'm going to keep you around. So you're lying. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Either you didn't like what you saw or you liked what you saw.
Like you said, like that guy Austin Wright just said, a nod of nothing. A nod of nothing. Like he's just basically upset still, but he don't want to fire him. But this is his last resort and keeping Mike McCarthy.
If they keep Mike McCarthy.
Go ahead, AJ.
If they keep Mike McCarthy, let's see what Randy said, because he said something in the chat that made me like turn my head. It has something to do with the Seahawks. Let me see what he said. Because if you're a Cowboys fan, man, just go over there to Houston and root for a real team.
Let me see.
Okay, it's Kid Sims. He said All-Pro went off on the Cowboys after the game, but how do you feel about Dan Quinn coming to my Seahawks? He might be nice. As a Seattle fan, Dan knows how we operate and will bring back intensity. Yeah, he's gonna bring back intensity for you to be intensity. You're gonna have a lot of intensity at home when you watching other teams playing the playoffs. That's the intensity you're gonna have. He's gonna run you out. He's gonna run you out the playoffs. The thing is that Dan Quinn system, the Cowboys are so undersized defensively, and that's what he loves to run. If we take it back to what happened when the Falcons lost to the Patriots and they blew that lead 28-3, they're an undersized front. And it starts with the defense. He's a defensive-minded coach. He likes to go out there and risk size for sacks. You have a bunch of quick people going around and sacking the quarterback. That's why the Cowboys had a top 3 passing defense this year. It's hard to pass on that team because they're fast and they can go help each other out across the middle. In terms of getting to the quarterback, that's possible too. But when a team comes out there in 22 set where you got 2 running backs and 2 tight ends on the field and they get physical and they run the football, he can't stop the run. And that is something that he has shown in his entire career, even going back to when he was a defensive coordinator with the Seahawks at the time. They couldn't go out there and stop the run consistently at times. Yeah, you had Bobby Wagner, those guys. They were known to be the Legion of Boom. That's what they was known. They were known for their secondary. They wasn't known for their run stop. And you had a lot of good guys on the defensive line. So him coming back to Seattle, it sounds good in theory, but it's a terrible move. I would have ran it back with Pete Carroll. You have a solid quarterback in Geno Smith. DK Metcalf's a good wide receiver. Jackson Smith, the Jigba, all those guys. The defense has been the problem in the last couple of years with the Seahawks. It's not going to get any better with Dan Quinn. Look at the Cowboys right now. And with them bringing back Mike McCarthy, I'm going to tie it into this. Somebody on this coaching staff has to go. Mike McCarthy is your head coach and your offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn can't stay. You cannot run it back with this same roster and this same coaching staff. You're gonna be in the same situation. Or next season, you might watch Philly go out there and make some changes, and they take the division back from you, and you may miss the playoffs altogether.
Well, AJ, let me say this because we on fire right now. We on fire right now. Let me finish. Let me read you what Jerry Jones said about Sunday, and then I'm gonna play devil's advocate with 2 of your points. He said, further, our loss on Sunday is shared by everyone here, not just Coach McCarthy, our players, our coaches, our front office, myself. There is accountability for our results. I am accountable for our results. The lens we use to view and evaluate Coach McCarthy is hostile. While we're all disappointed with the results on Sunday and with our playoff record, I am 100% supportive of him as our head coach and ability to reach our goals. Last paragraph, we will start our process of reviewing and decision-making regarding everything that impacts our team and roster. And while we're not going to address specific players and extensions or free agents at this point, it deserves our deepest review and consideration, and it will get it. So I'm going to ask you this. I know a lot of people say them losing their starting linebacker was key, and losing Diggs was a major part for, the reason why they possibly didn't have their starting corners. You did have a corner on the other side in the name of Stephon Gilmore that got exposed several times on Sunday. And you had Bland, who was a holding penalty away from costing his team. Yes, he led the league in picks, but if he doesn't get picks, what does he really do? So my devil's advocate question to you, AJ, is, did injuries hurt Dan Quinn's defensive scheme? Or no, the game was just blown out and there's nothing Diggs or any other player can really do?
I'm going to ask you a question. When it came to Cowboy fans, they was winning all those games. Did they ever speak of Trayvon Diggs and Van Der Esch being out?
Facts. You already look. Didn't I say I'm playing devil's advocate? Didn't I say I'm playing devil's advocate for that?
You know what? The fan base play a part in this too. This is why I don't feel bad for them. This is why I'm happy it happened to them. They sit up here and they make these excuses. When the Lions got cheated, they said, hey, they made the right call. Nobody had nothing to say. But when you get ran off the field, and you should have been getting ran off the field by every team you faced this season at home because you was really cheating those teams, there was nothing being said. Trayvon Diggs missed the game against the Cardinals. Josh Dobson killed him in the pass game. He killed him in the run game. Leighton Vander Esch played 3 quarters in that game. James Conner running them into the ground. Whether they have Leighton Vander Esch on the field or not, they run him into the ground. We can go back to last year. Van Der Esch was healthy. What did Christian McCaffrey do? We can go back to the year before that. It's just the same thing with them. They can't stop the run because they're not focused and they're zoned in and they're ready to make excuses, just like Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons has more podcast clips than he has sacks in the playoffs.
Hey. All right, AJ. Let me put the fire hydrant on you because you on fire. I'm trying. Like I said, we not trying to end this quick. This we smothering this. We taking every bite with this. So you on fire right now. So what I had to say with that is people miss again. If you're enjoying the content, definitely tell people to pull up. Did the Dallas Cowboys get it wrong by bringing Mike McCarthy back, or did Jerry Jones make the right decision? I'm going to go back to a point that you made about Dan Quinn. When you look at it, Dan Quinn really should have came to the front of the podium and said, I was the reason why we lost. Because if you look at it, the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, but the offense scored at the end. Again, before they scored right before half, it was 27-0. Yeah, Dale. Like I said, Austin Wright, they said, AJ, they telling you killing it right now. That's why I got to slow you down. Because like I said, we both live in Dallas. And I'm with AJ. I'm sick of it too. I'm actually happy. Me and AJ called me. He was like, Doug. I said, hey, I'm sitting here cooking my chili, man. It's 12 degrees. I'm sitting here with my feet up just laughing. Because again, it's the fan base that make people hate the Cowboys. It's not the players. It's not Jerry Jones. It's the fan base. And it's every year is our year, or next year is going to be our year. We've been hearing this for what? How long? Since I've been born. The Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, or since I've watched football. Let me say that the Cowboys have not won a Super Bowl.
I wasn't even born.
So again, what really is the problem? And again, Jerry Jones gets in the way. Jerry Jones did he basically gave out a peace offering by giving Jimmy Johnson his name in the Hall of Fame. He should have been in the Hall of Fame. Again, there's certain things that Jerry Jones does that just has me scratch my head and be like, you did what for what? Or you gave this person a contract for what? Like, it's just crazy because, again, I think Mike McCarthy should have been fired. It was rumors out that he was having talks with Dan Quinn last year before they brought Mike McCarthy back. Do you remember that, AJ?
Yeah, I do.
Because if you think about it, the defense was better last year than they were this year.
See, my thing is
bad against San Francisco in the playoffs last year.
This is my thing, man. What's the point of having a coach? Jerry Jones, the owner, he's a general manager, and he's really the coach. I remember going back to when Mike McCarthy first came to this team. He said, we need to take more risk. We need to go for 2. The next week, they're going for 2 almost after every touchdown play. Then when they weren't getting it, the media comes out to Mike McCarthy. He's basically just a puppet master. He's just the guy that Jerry Jones pulled the string with. He just said, man, you know what? I shouldn't have been going for 2. That's on me. I'll consult with Jerry about it. Wait a minute. Why are you consulting with an owner about play call decisions? What does he have to do with this? Why am I? See, this is why Bill Belichick and Sean Payton and all these coaches, a coach like that will never come to Dallas. And this is why the Dallas Cowboys will never win anything. I don't have time to manage a roster, to manage players, deal with their stuff, deal with personnel decisions, and also deal with this owner every week. It reminds me of that owner over there in Carolina, too. Why are we having daily meetings?
Nope, we ain't doing that tonight.
And people wonder why. They said, well, Dan Snyder remind me of Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is not the same Jerry Jones he was in the early 90s. Facts. He had no problem with giving Jimmy Johnson credit. He had no problem with that. And see, I like what you brought in. See, I'm really finna go back on fire. He had problems with Jimmy Johnson wanting to make decisions with the roster. Can we cut this person? Can we move this person around? It made Jerry look around and say, well, wait a minute, this is my team. Jimmy felt like, hey, I coached this team. I've won Super Bowls. I know what I can do. Jerry felt like, hey, this team is so talented because of me, anybody can win with it. He went and hired Barry Switzer to be the head coach of this team, and nothing was the same since then.
Yep.
Nothing was the same since then. And you also look at Jerry Jones. He falls asleep at the trade deadline. Back then, he got guys like Deion Sanders. He went and made trades to eventually get guys like Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith. You don't see that anymore. He just go to sleep at the trade deadline. He's not that active in free agency. And when he is active in free agency, he's bringing in guys like Stephon Gilmore. Now, Stephon Gilmore had a very solid season. A lot of Cowboy fans mad at him. He wasn't the only one getting burned. Deron Bland couldn't check nobody in the wheelchair either. He was bum on that field too. Do not go out there and just get mad with one player because they weren't with this team the whole time. They do the same thing every single year, and you run into the same problems every single year. And it's the same song and dance with Cowboy fans. They sit up here, they get upset, they get mad, and then the next year is the same repeating cycle. They go out there, they lose against the 49ers, they get upset. Then they beat a team like the Commanders of the Giants. They say the boys are back. This is our year.
Well, let me read this question to you. I appreciate that question, Dale. Again, if you are watching, definitely share the live. Definitely leave a comment. We will read you guys' comments out and answer your questions. Dale said, "Got a question for you and AJ. Do you think that the Cowboys will ever win a Super Bowl in this era of football?" The reason why, AJ, you want to go first, or you want me to answer it?
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
I'll say a no. It's a hard no for me because, again, AJ said something that I'm trying to stay meek because my boys are on TV right now, so I'm multitasking, but I'm going to stay meek. And he's not lying when he said this. Jerry Jones almost has a syndrome of David Temper. And what I mean a syndrome of David Temper, he's in the way. It's either my way or nobody's way. I have a head coach, but he's my puppet. When I tell you to shut up, I mean shut up. If I tell you to speak, I tell you to speak. If I want this player, I'll go get this player. And when you have an owner that micromanage your head coach and your GM, his hands are tied. Until Jerry fully gives complete control to his son and to the other two that's at the table, the Dallas Cowboys will not win a Super Bowl. You cannot have, I'm not going to call him a narcissist because David Temper is the narcissist, but you cannot have a narcissistic syndrome or have a syndrome where you have to have your hand in everything. And that's the problem with Jerry Jones. So that's the reason why the Dallas Cowboys will not win a Super Bowl until Jerry gets out the way.
So Dale is a big Cowboys fan. I'm filling in the gaps. He always on the channel. He's a big Cowboys fan. Big supporter. Shout out to Dale.
Pulling up, man.
Yeah, he subscribed to you and me, but he's a big supporter of the channel, big supporter. So to him, he's one of those rare Cowboy fans. He came in around week 3 or week 4, and he was like, "Hey, man, we ain't gonna win the Super Bowl this year. It's not good enough." He knows what it is. When you look at today's NFL, the way that the Cowboys are constructed, like you said, he is a narcissist. I know you didn't want to call him that. I'll call him that. He's
David
a narcissist.
Temper's one, so I'm not going. Nobody's worse than David Temper right now. So if we got to tell him, David Temper is above Jerry Jones.
Yeah, he is. He is. But I look at Jerry. I want to peel the curtain back real quick. As a coach, I don't think people understand all the stuff you have to deal with. You have to watch film, prepare to play. And see, Mike McCarthy really put too much stress on himself. You're the offensive play caller and the head coach. That's an extra responsibility. Usually head coaches, they just manage everything. Should we go for 2? This is what I want my coordinators to do, game plan around this. Now Mike McCarthy is the game planner. He's calling plays. He's managing the timeouts. He's managing the clocks. He's in charge of personnel decisions. And then you put meeting on Jerry Jones every other day on top of that. It's only so many hours in a day. It's only so much stuff you can do. So instead of him going out there and game planning, like how Steve Wilkes said in the interview, how it was David Tepper, it makes it hard. I can't focus on everything if all my focus goes to one person. If Mike McCarthy only had to worry about game plan and adjustment, he may be a better coach, and they may be set up for a Super Bowl. But the way that Jerry Jones operates, it's not going to work that way. They're not going to win a Super Bowl that way. And I can tell you they're not going to win a Super Bowl that way. They did Jason Garrett so bad. The man was traumatized. He went and became the offensive coordinator with the Giants. He wasn't a good one. He went to college to coach. Wasn't a bad college coach. He said, I can't take this no more. It's a hangover effect. Jerry Jones puts too much stress on players and on the coaching staff, and it's too much expectation for a franchise that hasn't been able to achieve since the 90s. And I haven't seen a franchise get this much exposure, and people are on the shock treatment when they lose, when they haven't won since the 90s. Look at how people treat the Cleveland Browns. Look at how people have treated the Detroit Lions. Why can't we put the Dallas Cowboys in that same conversation? Because they have 5 Super Bowls. Some people alive, including myself, I've never seen them go to a Super Bowl, or let alone to NFC Championship. So why are we treating them with that same respect?
Hey, shout out to my bit Sarge Kuntz, kicking it with Kuntz. Also, he has a channel. He's a bit Buffalo Bills fan. He was able to go to games this year and last year. So if you want another channel that has live vlogs, has his wife and the kids out there, definitely head over to Kicking It with Kuntz. Again, bit Bills fan. He got a question, and I'm smiling because I didn't want to talk about this yet because it's a toss up for me. But he asked, do you think the Bills will win this weekend? I will say this. Playing at Orchard Park, I used to live in Buffalo. Playing at Orchard Park is definitely a tough stadium to play in with the weather and with the fan base. I think the Bills should win. And the reason why I say they should win is because of the weapons that the Kansas City Chiefs do not have. Outside of Rice, Kelsey has definitely depleted. He looks old. He looks tired. Only thing I will say, Isaiah Pacheco definitely ran the ball hard, and you have to run in order to win playoff games. It's no longer, who can throw the most. But Isaiah Pacheco set the tone for the Kansas City Chiefs against the Miami Dolphins. But ultimately, I do think the Bills can win this game. Definitely think the Bills can win this game, and they should win this game on Sunday.
Man, look, I'm tired of seeing Taylor Swift. That might be other people thing. I'm here to watch football. I'm rooting for Josh Allen so hard, it's not even funny. It's not even funny, man. I think Buffalo will win too. Buffalo is beat up though on the defensive side of the ball. I will say that. They're beat up. On defense, they're down to their third and fourth string linebackers. That concerns me because the Chiefs can run the football to Isaiah Pacheco. I'm not going to get into too much because we got something coming on Sunday too. But I'll take Buffalo. I think the way that Buffalo is playing right now with James Cook and how they have Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid's going to be a top 3 tight end in the next couple of years.
Yep.
He got potential. He is nice. But, yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I got Buffalo winning by a field goal.
All right. And I appreciate Video Game Boss. Never seen you on the channel. Definitely appreciate your question. Again, if you have not subscribed to What's Up, Doug, definitely go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button for us as well. Also, head over to All Pro Sports Talks with my guy AJ and head over there as well and show him some love as well. She wrote, when Dak ate that turkey leg on Thanksgiving game, it went downhill from there. Can't celebrate early. I mean,
That's
they
true.
do it all the time. They do it all the time. Again, I appreciate your statement on that. Again, you can't blame the players. And I'm gonna go back to my owner. You can't blame the players and the coaches, like AJ said, when you have to do unnecessary meetings and unnecessary back and forth with the owner. Again, my job is to prepare your team, prepare the right plays, and we go out and win. It could be that he's pulled left and right too much by Jerry Jones that Mike McCarthy wasn't able to do a great job this year. Because, again, like AJ said, he was the offensive coordinator, he's the head coach, and he still has to meet with Jerry every other day. So for me, I do think, again, like we said in the title, are the Dallas Cowboys underachieving due to Jerry Jones? That is a fact. All right, JJ just wrote us another question, AJ. He said, yo, AJ and Doug, besides Jerry, who's the most to blame with this team?
It's players as a whole,
Hey,
man.
hold on. So JJ, can you write another comment? Are you talking about a specific person? Or are you talking about a coordinator? Or are you talking about a particular group? But I will go ahead and start answering. Outside of Jerry, you have to blame the head coach because he's the leader of your team. As a group of people, okay.
You want to go off on this one? You want me to take it?
You can start. He said, I think Mike is good, in my opinion. Go ahead. AJ?
Like I mentioned, man, Mike's not a bad people.
That's a hard question. I
Yeah,
appreciate that question, JJ. I appreciate
and
that question.
my thing is this, man. I got sympathy for Coach Mike. I do, because it's hard. I don't think people realize, man, it's hard to already coach a team. You got to deal with somebody like Jerry down your neck 24/7. At the end of the day, coaches coach, players play.
Facts.
You have to go out there and you have to execute the plays the best way. I don't want to put all the blame on Mike McCarthy. The majority of the blame is not on Mike McCarthy. It's on the players. Because after they gave up that first touchdown, they just looked they were depleted. CeeDee Lamb had a drop in that game, and everything went downhill after that drop. It's like when people saw him drop the football, everybody hung their head and they said, uh-oh, here we go again. And that moment, yes, I agree with you, Doug. The coach is your main leader, but you need to have your player come in and say, hey, let's go. They are on the sideline looking at each other with their heads down. We are only down 7-0. Why do we have head downs? Why are our heads down already? What is going on? And now you can blame Mike McCarthy for that and get those guys to right situation, like how Bill Belichick used to do. Used to call in the group huddle. Everybody, time out. Let's get in together. Let's focus. So at a certain point, players going to have to want to go out there and do it themselves. A coach can't go out there and play for you. I can just go out there and motivate you and get you in the right direction. Dak deserves some blame because he threw those 2 bad interceptions in this game.
There you
So
go.
Dak is one of them. CeeDee Lamb had that drop. You cannot have a drop in this situation. And players are not robots, but that drop was a major drop. I really want to give the defense majority of the blame because this is this haunted defense we all heard about. They said the defense go out, they stop people. Yeah, you stop people like Sam Howell and Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito. When it goes against elite level competition, they can't do that. So who deserves majority of the blame besides Jerry? I'll say Mike deserves some of it, but I'll go with Dak with those 2 interceptions. I'll say Tony Pollard as well because he hasn't been a consistent running back with this team.
Well,
and that defense, man, that defense as
go
a
ahead.
whole, that defense as a whole is bad, man.
So AJ said something. I'm gonna start with the first part that you said. I can't blame Tony Pollard because Jerry Jones and that staff knew what Zeke Elliott could do. And they wanted Tony Pollard to take on the role as Zeke Elliott. That's the reason why they drafted Deuce Vaughn. When did we ever see a Deuce Vaughn sighting all season long? None
He got
at
injured
all.
early, though. He got injured,
But let's be real, though. He got injured. But even when I went to the game during the Patriots, he dressed and he was a healthy scratch.
He's too little, man.
He was a healthy scratch.
He's too little, man. He's too little.
Okay, you can give him that. He's too little. But again, why let go of Zeke where you have a double-headed monster in the backfield and you see what Zeke was able to do with the split backfield up north with the New England Patriots?
Well, a lot of it was because of cap concerns. Same to Amari Cooper. They let him go because he's getting paid too much.
So now you're going into. So let me finish JJ's question because I was talking about Tony Pollard, but I have to give Dak a lot of blame for it because again, I give you a play, but you have to execute it. And those picks, Mike McCarthy's not throwing it, Dan Quinn's not throwing those picks, or Jerry Jones is not throwing those picks. Then one thing that I think happened with CeeDee Lamb just gave up. When Jair Alexander jammed him at the line, CeeDee just went out. His mind was out of the game. His head was out of the game. And yeah, he did catch some passes in the second half, but it was force-fed because they knew they had to get CeeDee going. But when you look at him, you got CeeDee going, who was open? Ferguson was open throughout. That's why he had all 3 touchdowns because he was open, and a lot of people were focusing on CeeDee Lamb. Another person
exactly
blame, which we talked about that has a podcast, is Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons is supposed to be this generational talent, this player that's supposed to wreak havoc. What did he do all game? Again, when he got beat, he had his head down, acting like, oh, my back or my leg is hurt, trying to play the role. So again, outside of Jerry, I blame the players. Your players have to be ready to play. Your players have to pick up each other. There's supposed to be a brotherhood. We're supposed to have each other's back. The players let the fans down. They let their coach down.
You got to have that brotherhood, man. You got to have that brotherhood. If you don't have that brotherhood, you're not going to go nowhere. That's what made Brady and those guys elite for all those years. That's how they won those Super Bowls, man. You got to hold each other accountable. And, I like what Jimmy Johnson said at the halftime report when he was on the Fox show with Michael Strahan and Bill Cowher. You got to get in people's faces, man. Even if you're a player, even if you haven't played, you have to go and say, hey, man, you starting over me. You need to play better. And that's one thing. I feel like they can't take criticism. And I do want to get into that point that you just said about Michael. You have this podcast. Have no problem with players having podcasts. You better be able to back it up. He said, where's the same energy? I have it right here. He said, where's the same energy for when Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy perform bad? They don't have the same energy for those guys, but when Dak performs bad, it's like it's magnified. There's just some weird energy, bro. There's just some weird-ish. You want to know why people go heavy on Dak like that? He plays for a Cowboys team that can't shut up. And Dak doesn't even talk. It's players like you. You the reason. So instead of going off on Dak now, which a lot of people haven't done, some people have, we're going to come to you because you have the podcast. Because he was the same person making tweets. He's laughing at Cleveland getting blown out by the Texans when the Cowboys aren't even the best team in Texas. He's up here laughing. Where's the effort from the Browns? They're just letting CJ do whatever he wants. Y'all let Jordan Love do whatever he wants. Where's the effort from you? It seems like he has more interest in being famous than he does into being a football player. And I feel like that's the case for a lot of Dallas Cowboys players. The same with
it's the attention that they get. It's the national attention, the media attention, and you got to look at the state that you're in.
Do you want to be a football player or do you want to be a player that plays football and is famous?
Facts. Hey, I got another one of your guys, Corbin Rogers. I definitely appreciate you coming over, Corbin. Again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, definitely do so for us, man. My guy AJ is now a co-host. Our other co-host, Quan, is busy with family, so we definitely wanted to jump on this before it gets out tomorrow morning. I know everybody will be talking about it, but he said, my boy AJ sent me here. What's up, Doug? Where do the Cowboys go from here as a whole? They have a lot of questions. They have a lot of questions that need to be answered. Are you going to give Dak a contract? Are you going to re-sign Tony Pollard? A lot of your offensive line depth and starters are going to be free agents. Tyron Smith, one of the biggest offensive tackles in the league, is now a free agent. Are you going to bring him back? What are you going to do with Stephon Gilmore? CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, Gilmore's probably gone. But CeeDee Lamb is looking for a contract. The money and the decision-making outside of this is very big. Very big. And it's decision-making on, do the Cowboys and the fan base trust Jerry to do the right thing? And for me, that's a no. Because, again, it's the same thing over and over. The same thing over and over and over. Rinse and repeat. And like AJ brought up, just look at how he did Jimmy Johnson, brought in a scrub coach. The same thing like they did with Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett really was the fall guy for the reason why everything went in shambles in Dallas. So
I'm trying to be nicer here, but I'm gonna be real, man. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna keep it real. That's what everybody said they love me for. It's gonna be the same stuff every year, man. They're handcuffed. I mean, you can let Dak walk and you could try to go with Cooper Rush or Trey Lance, but that's not gonna push you into Super Bowl territory. That's what this team wants. They want Super Bowl. You're gonna have to go out there. You're gonna have to pay Micah Parsons. You're gonna have to pay CeeDee Lamb. The problem is these guys are all pros and they're Pro Bowlers. They make a lot of money when they reach those goals. And Jerry Jones usually pays guys when he drafts them. Look at Ezekiel Elliott. Paid him a lot of money. The very interesting thing with this is, like you mentioned before, I think Gilmore is gone. You'll have Trayvon Diggs come back. You'll have Deron Bland. And you'll have Jaron Kearse, the safety position. Your defense will still be intact with those pieces. My biggest thing is this. What do you do with Van Der Esch going forward? Because Van Der Esch is basically Sean Lee 2.0. Good when he's
hold on real quick, AJ. You actually know he's thinking about retiring, right? Because you know he had a neck injury while he was at Boise,
Boise
if I'm
State.
not mistaken. And
Boise.
then he's this is his second neck injury while being in the league. So do not be shocked if they do that injure because we have it with Hayden Hurst right now. I think they're gonna do something with the medical something where they're basically telling him that's it, man.
So
So
then they'll free some money off the books.
it
But
does put some money off, but you
you
still got a
losing,
hole.
yeah, that's a major hole that you can't feel without going to the draft to try to go into free agency. Would you just try to go and get a guy like Bobby Wagner or something? Or just hope that you have a guy
I
right
think
there?
Bobby Wagner's done because you got to remember Bobby Wagner went back home and home in
Yeah,
Seattle.
so my thing is this, man, with them, it's a gray area because you're gonna have to pay a lot of these guys on your roster. You're gonna go into the draft. The one thing I will give him credit for, he drafts very well. That's one thing that he has done very good in the past. Drafted CeeDee Lamb, drafted Michael Parsons, drafted Dak, drafted Tony Pollard, drafted Zeke Elliott. So a lot of the guys that go draft them, they can replace them. The problem is you're gonna have to go out there and get aggressive on the defensive side of the ball. They're not aggressive enough. Going forward, I think they're going to be in the same situation. There'll be a team that only wins 1 or 2 games in the playoffs and is easily one and done, unless something major happens. Because when you look at the NFC, no offense to the Packers, on paper, the Cowboys are a way superior team in terms of having the talent and having those guys. They just got out coached and they didn't play up to their full potential. The
Correct.
rest of the NFC is tough. The 49ers are not going anywhere. And I see that somebody asked a question about the Eagles. I think that
I
was
was about to read
Corbin.
it. I was gonna let you done. That's Corbin.
Yeah,
So
we can tie that into this right now. And you have the Eagles as well.
so hold on, let me ask the question for you, AJ. So Corbin Rogers said, did the Eagles pay Jalen too soon because he looked horrible this year? And I know Mama Deuce is in the chat, and she's probably, I hope she don't join. I'm gonna drop the link too. But Mama Deuce is an Eagles fan. Yeah, you remember I told you most of my family is Eagles fans. So I know she is hot right now with them birds. But go ahead and talk about Jalen. Go ahead and tie it in with the Eagles because you know we can jump into that. You know we can
So
jump.
I'll say this will be my last little thing about the Cowboys moving forward. With them, the lay of the land in the NFC is rough. You got the 49ers that's up there. Now the Packers you can't beat. You have some young emerging teams up there as well that's going to be tough for you to beat in the future because you have a lot of teams that are probably going to make some moves in free agency because they have more cap space and they have younger quarterbacks as well.
And you actually know
Ain't like
Washington. Hold on, real quick, AJ. You know Washington's going to be number 2 in cap space with a new head coach, with the new ownership, and you got a
and new
top 3
general
pick.
manager. That's what I'm saying. And the Commanders have given this team trouble in the past. So you're going to have them. And it's never been a back-to-back division winner since 2000. So that's something to think of. Then you also have the Eagles, like I mentioned. Did they pay Jalen too soon?
I think so. I
Yes,
pause.
they
Reason
did.
why, so I would say this: outside of them going to the Super Bowl, what has Jalen Hurts shown you since he's been in the league?
Jalen also had some bad play calling, man.
So
Jalen had
this year,
bad.
so you are look. AJ ain't gonna really tell y'all. We had conversation behind the scenes, and I've been dead on the dot with every prediction that has happened so far.
Since week
And
6.
so I'm telling y'all right now, Nick Sirianni will be fired, I think. I know AJ was saying he had a meeting today. I heard Fletcher Coxon came out and said they want him back. But to be up in Philly, be up in Pennsylvania, you got to have thick skin. And I've been calling Nick Sirianni a fraud, a fox in sheep's clothing since day one. Again, if I was not a Panther fan, I would be an Eagles fan. I follow them. I follow a lot of teams. But for me, she didn't join. But for me, but
Uh-uh.
for me, I honestly think Jalen just needed one more year. But if I'm glad he got his contract before, because with Brian Johnson being the offensive coordinator, he has not did well. Hold on. I'm about to bring Mama Dukes on. This is her first time ever joining the show, man. So, what you got to say, Mama Duke?
Guys, I don't have an idea what I'm talking about, but y'all stay on the porch.
What she mean by that is,
Stay on the porch with those Eagles, okay?
I already knew she was gonna come up and say something about that. For me, it's more of, again, Mama. You know what I say about the Eagles. The Eagles, for me, the coaching did not help the players, and with AJ Brown being hurt, that's the reason why now the Eagles are going to be almost kind of sort in the same position that the Cowboys are. But Mike McCarthy's coming back. You don't know if Nick Sirianni's coming back. You don't know if your DC is coming back because you have Matt Patricia calling plays now. So he may not be back. And then with Brian Johnson supposedly getting coaching interviews, only reason that is so they can have their minority Rooney Rule checked off right now. So for me, it's more of, like AJ said, there has not been a repeated NFC East champion, but I do think the Commanders are set up great to take over the division. Because if people don't know, Saquon Barkley has already said he probably won't even be back in New York. So does this? I'm gonna ask the chat again if people have questions. I see my guy Bleezo came up, said the Cowboys are a joke. Eagles got too much talent to lose like that. That is correct. I'm gonna ask the chat again. If anybody has any question, let us know right in the chat. We'll definitely respond. But I'm gonna ask AJ right now, and also the chat, if the Commanders are aggressive in free agency, they get a quarterback. Do you see? I'm not gonna say year one because everybody's not gonna be the CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans right now. But do you possibly see, with the Cowboys not turning a leaf and just dropping Mike McCarthy, do you think that the Commanders can possibly take over the NFC East in the future?
This might make you feel some type of way, depending on how you feel. I'm a big Sam Howell fan. That's my
Big.
boy.
He's
Sam
retarded.
Howell.
I've been following.
Sam is not the reason why you lost football games. Your defense was
Correct.
horrible. You
Correct.
fired Ron Rivera. I think that they can get a lot of picks for that second overall pick. You trade down, you work on that offensive line. No matter who your quarterback is moving forward, whether it's Sam, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, whoever, you will more than likely get them broken down by a terrible offensive line the way that Sam Howell got beat up. He was the most sacked quarterback in the NFL this season. Yes, he did lead the league in interceptions and turnovers, but what quarterback wouldn't with that type of offensive line? I think that Sam Howell is the right quarterback. Give him one more year with the right play caller, because there was reports within the organization. I don't know if you read about this or not. They weren't even that big on Eric Bieniemy after week 7. They felt like all his plays were just predicated from shotgun, and that it fit more of Patrick Mahomes than what it fit of Sam Howell.
And you don't
hear about Eric Bieniemy being the head coach no more. So I feel like he probably showed his hand. He's probably going to go back to Kansas City, more than likely, and they'll make Matt Nagy a position coach again. You'll keep Eric Bieniemy back at the offensive play call, offensive consultant, something like that. But if the Commanders can make the right moves, they can be in a good situation. You have Terry McLaurin, who was good. I like the tight end for the team. Curtis Samuel is good too, and they have Jahan Dotson. They have good players. And on the defensive side of the ball, that's where they're going to need work at the most, because they traded Chase Young and they traded Montez Sweat. So in the next couple of years, they could be good. The next couple of years. But right now, it's a lot of questions around them. But in the future, I think they can be good. They're in a better situation than the Giants, because the Giants basically tied themselves down to Daniel Jones.
But see, I will also say this too. I'm just thinking in my head when you're saying that the New York Giants are going to have a problem now because they fired Wink, their defensive coordinator.
Yeah, Brian Dable, man.
So like I said, that whole division is in shambles right now, because the Dallas Cowboys, a lot of people are questioning, should Mike McCarthy have been re-signed? Then the Washington Commanders, who are they going to get as a head coach? They already got Adam Peters, which is a great hire for a GM. That's a great start. The
Love
Philadelphia Eagles are Nick Sirianni, and both of your coordinators going to stay there. So
But let me
again,
get back
as
to
the
the
whole division, the division is gonna. It's a lot of answers and a lot of questions that are gonna be asked and need to be answered during the offseason. My guy Jamie
Eagles.
did. Go ahead, AJ. We got another question. Go ahead before I post Jamie's question.
Oh no, you can post a question. Go ahead.
Okay. I appreciate my guy Jamie, one of my coworkers, definitely just reached out. He said, with McCarthy coming back, who should Cowboys DC be? Does the Cowboys have true linebackers instead of safeties that has getting the run over? Okay. So I guess you're saying with possibly Dan Quinn leaving, I have no clue. I know a candidate that I will take for them to have as a DC, and that will be
Mm.
their corners coach. I do not know his name. I cannot think of his name, but I know he played in the league. And you just look at what he's able to do with his corners. Nobody thought Bland would lead the league in picks once Diggs got hurt. Nobody thought Gilmore would still have juice in the tank. That's who I would give it to. If Dan Quinn leaves, I would give it to the Dallas Cowboys cornerbacks coach. He said, "Does the Cowboys have true linebackers instead of safeties?" That has again. So again, we talked about
No,
the
they
injury.
don't.
What'd you say, AJ?
I said, nah, they don't have no true linebackers.
Oh no, they don't. They don't. But I mean, if you look at the injuries, again, that's one of the downfalls of the Cowboys. And I think if you really did this, if they move Parsons as a true linebacker, that can help them. But they want him to be closer to the line and do pass rush.
So you were talking about Coach Al Harris. That's the secondaries coach.
Yes.
He should have been the defensive coordinator
Yes.
after last season. And I've been saying this for years.
Yes.
That man has found a way. If you remember Trayvon Diggs, his first year when he was a rookie, he couldn't cover nobody, but he was getting good with interceptions. The man went and took out his time and said, man, you know what? I'm going to come work with you at his own practice facility that Trayvon Diggs was going to, and made him look like one of the best corners in the league the next year. Got him paid. Stephon Gilmore. And I think Gilmore is still a good corner. He just had a bad game. Made him look good. He is way behind his prime, though. And you have Deron Bland, basically somebody that no one has ever heard of, just getting pick six like it's nothing. Let him be your main defensive coordinator. I think he should be number one on this team for sure if Dan Quinn does leave. And if it's not him, the Cowboys have a lot of money. I don't know if the Panthers – what is Everu's contract with the Panthers?
Evero, 3 years, $10
Evero.
million a year. $10 million to be a D coordinator a year.
And they can block him out from going to other teams.
Oh, yeah.
I know they did that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we can block him out.
If you can, see if you can talk to the Panthers about getting him. He can make a defense nice. Everywhere he's been, he's left with a good defense, a very good defense at that. My thing is this. Bringing back McCarthy, I don't hate it. I don't love it. They should have went with a defensive coordinator as a head coach. This is one of those franchises that needs that. This is one of those franchises that would have benefited from that. We're going with a defensive court, like with a defensive mindset at the head coach spot. Oh, y'all was going to talk about the Eagles too.
Go ahead.
Did they pay Jalen too soon? Yes, they did. But you saved yourself some money. And you also cost yourself some money too. You just hope that this is not a Carson Wentz situation. If this is a Carson Wentz situation to where he comes out the next season and he looks just as bad or worse, I don't see how the general manager survives this again. You got from underneath Carson Wentz in a slick way. You're not going to be able to do this again with Jalen Hurts. Jalen got paid a lot of money. The thing is with the Eagles, Jalen was put into a bad situation. Early on, the defense did play better, and the offense was just lagging through, but they did enough to win. Now with Jason Kelce retiring, you're going to have to get a new center for the first time in 13 years.
Well, leader of the offense, the voice of the offense.
That's a new cadence that Jalen Hurts is going to have to learn, and that's a new person he's going to have to take snaps from as well. Jalen deserved the money that he got, but it wasn't all on him. You said this before anybody, and I want to give Doug this credit. Coach Johnson is terrible. I've never seen a coordinator go out there when Jalen is getting man blitz, zero blitz. Everyone's getting blitz except for the corners on the island. You're having these men run vertical routes down the field. There is no check down. There is no wheel route. There is no out seam, no nothing. And he stopped throwing screen plays. So over and over again, you just kept doing the same plays. And I don't know if you noticed this. He called a QB draw. When they're blitzing, you're setting your quarterback up to get hit immediately. He has to go. I don't think that they're going to fire him.
Now that's something I can get into. And AJ's alluding to this. Go ahead, AJ.
I don't think they're going to fire Nick Sirianni. I don't, because he just went to the Super Bowl a year ago. But it's going to be an emphasis on hiring the right coach. That's what it's going to be an emphasis on hiring the right coordinators, to come in there and fix this thing, to come in there and to fix everything with this team. Because you're going to have to go out there and get a true offensive coordinator, because the offense isn't bad. The offense is better off than what the defense is. The offense has talents. Yes, they did not have A.J. Brown, but they had Devontae Smith out there. You have Dallas Goedert. The run game was solid with Miles Sanders. Their defense is bad. Their defense is going to need some work. You know James Bradbury longer than we've seen him. Bradbury's not good no more. Bradbury's terrible. He can't cover. He can't tackle. You have Darius Slay. I think we're seeing the end of his career right before our eyes. He is getting hurt like it's nothing towards the end, and he can't cover the same. And if you go back to last season, he wasn't the best corner with the team. It was James Bradbury.
Correct.
Then you have the linebackers with this team. They can't stay healthy, and they're aging. They were so bad that they went out there and they tried to go get Shaq Leonard from the Colts when they cut him. And he's way behind his prime as well. So you need to draft some linebackers. The secondary needs work as well. And then you look at the defensive line. That's the best part of this defense. And they weren't getting home. Jalen Carter looked like he was out of shape majority of the season. Fletcher Cox is getting older. Hassan Reddick is still good, a former Carolina Panther and a Cardinal. But he's still good with this team. Besides Hassan Reddick, they weren't touching the quarterback. And that's what this defense was focused on. Going out there and getting to the quarterback at a high rate. They didn't do it this year at all.
So AJ, let's fast forward. Season's over with. A leader on offense and darn tootin', I cannot think his first name. Kelsey says that he's leaving.
But Jason
said that he's retiring. But then Brandon Graham came back so they can run him back. He's gone now. I know for sure he's gone. Then Fletcher Cox, who's a free agent, is possibly gone now. All your vocal leaders in that locker room are gone now. All your leaders are gone. So, again, where a coach can lean on his players, Nick Sirianni doesn't have it anymore. And if you look at the success of both of his coordinators, what they're doing at their respective teams right now, Indianapolis was a game away from making the playoffs. And the Arizona Cardinals upset Philly in Philly and upset the Cowboys within the first 4 weeks of the season.
Now
Go ahead. What'd you say, AJ?
You got Jalen as a leader.
But experienced leader. The reason why I say that, because again, Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox held that defense down. Jason Kelsey held that offense down. You get what I'm saying? I'll say this, it's just like Carolina. When Cam left, when Greg Olsen left, when Pep left, Thomas Davis left, what did Carolina have? That's the reason why. And again, I understand where I'm saying with this. We traded or we let those players go, but that was due to our leadership. But once you saw that happen, what happened in Carolina? You had no leaders. No leaders. And that's the exact reason why our locker room is the way it is right now, because you have no true leadership. You can have all the talent on display, but when you have no leadership or no leader of men on a staff, Nick Sirianni is a fraud. How many times did I tell you that, AJ? He's a fraud. Like I said, I'm not from Philly. I grew up in Philly. You have to have tough skin. You have to take criticism, and you have to take it when people don't like you. And Nick is a fraud. He tries to build something that he's not. And that's exactly the reason why the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia Eagles failed because of the leadership and being Nick Sirianni being the head coach this year. That's the reason why.
But would you move off a coach that just went to the Super Bowl the year before though?
He got a short leash. He has a short leash.
I'll say this about Philly, man. Like you said, fast forward, all those guys leaving, it's gonna leave a dent in the team. Bradbury should have been gone at the last season, to be real. Because in that Super Bowl, it started to show you a lot about Bradbury as a whole. Losing both of the coordinators did hurt. That doesn't help anybody. My thing with this, to counteract what you said, with you losing leaders, you can bring in Malcolm Jenkins as a position coach who's with Philly for years.
Yeah.
Bring him in, try to get some of the Eagles.
You got one of the best safeties in Dawkins.
Yeah, you can bring him in. Then you also can talk about this. Hey, this is going to make a lot of Panther fans and Eagle fans be like, man, what are you talking about? Frank Reich had success with the Eagles. He had success with the Eagles. Hey, Joe Brady was bad with the Panthers. He didn't look good with the Panthers. He looked good.
No. So hold on, AJ. I'm not gonna lie, you do that. He was a scapegoat where we know where scapegoats are. He was a scapegoat for Matt Rule. And I hate it. He was the scapegoat for Matt Rule. Joe Brady was not a problem in Carolina. The problem was Matt Rule. And Joe Brady just had to take the boot and be like, okay, it's my fault.
Do you
Carolina
feel like
fans knew that? Fans knew Joe Brady wasn't a problem. And look what Joe Brady's able to do with Josh Allen now.
Well, do you feel like Philly should go in and hire back Frank Reich to be offensive coordinator?
No comment.
Yeah. I think he can have some nice concepts with the team. I do. I think that he could be a nice guy to be offensive coordinator. And hey, for me, thinking about it now, because Philly is an attractive spot, they could fire Nick Sirianni, like you said. I don't see that happening, but they could. And they could go all in on Ben Johnson.
They better not.
They can go all in on Ben Johnson. It's not even hard to sell him on the team. You can say, hey, we got Jalen, we got weapons, we got everything that you want and need. Bang. Here you go.
Nah. Mm-mm. See, AJ want me to spaz out on camera because I be spazzing out on the phone. That's why I ain't been giving him the energy. I'm just waiting for Friday, and I'm waiting to see what Friday brings us. Tomorrow is the pre for Friday, and we're telling you guys again, like AJ said, we don't have everything finalized, but we are going to go live on Sunday. Definitely let your partners know, let your friends know, let your fam know. We are going live on Sunday. Recapping games on Saturday and talking about games on Sunday. And we are expecting some news to come out between now and Friday with some particular coaches. But again, I appreciate everybody that's in the chat again. If you have a question for us, definitely drop the question for us so we can answer it for you. But I'm going to ask the chat and also AJ this question. Start, sit, or bench? And this is for Dallas Cowboys due to free agency. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and I want to put Michael Parsons in there, but Michael Parsons doesn't need a contract. So I'm going to put Tony Pollard. So again, you have Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, or Tony Pollard. Who would you start? Who would you sit? And who would you cut?
Pollard's a running back. It's easy to go out there and get a running back, so I'll cut Pollard. Give me CeeDee. I'll start CeeDee and I'll sit Dak. CeeDee's essential to the team. CeeDee's too essential to the team.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm definitely cutting
Tony Pollard?
Yeah, I'm definitely cutting Pollard.
Okay. So I'm going to switch it up for you then. Dak, CeeDee, and Parsons.
I'm starting CD again. I'm sitting Dak. I'm gonna cut Micah. Yeah, I'm cutting Micah. Yeah, I'm cutting Micah. I'm gonna go ahead and cut Micah. Yeah, I'm gonna cut Micah. Matter of fact, hold up.
That's where
I'll
I'm
start
trying
CD.
before I say anything, AJ.
Hold on. I take that back. I'll start CD. Bench Micah. I'm cutting Dak.
Okay. I had to make sure you
Yeah,
was thinking
yeah,
because I was about to
yeah,
say you're about to cut Michael Parsons. If
yeah.
you add,
I
go
had to
ahead.
think about it.
Yeah, because I'll just give you this scenario. If you had Michael Parsons teammate with somebody like a JJ Watt, Chase Young, Hassan Reddick, um, I said JJ, TJ Watt.
Him with Miles Garrett to be crazy.
Okay, so you tell again. That's what I'm saying. I'm glad you thought about it because I'm like,
Yeah.
he's a sidekick. um,
Yeah, if I had to pick, man, I'll just cut Dak and just give me Trey Lance. And I just try to build him up.
So what did I say before we got on the show?
Yeah, I just try to build him up.
Because again, DeMarcus Lawrence, I think, is kind of up there now. He's that rotational piece where you need some young juice on the opposite end of
Micah.
Micah. Our guy Jamie said Pollard and Parsons cut, CD start, bench Dak. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, the Dallas Cowboys, they might think they've knocked down all the dominoes, but the domino is only knocked down one right now. I think a lot of people are going to be questioning this. Again, I think the media is going to look at it and say they did what after what we saw on Sunday. I understand where AJ is saying again, it's not all on Mike McCarthy. And I will agree with that, but I do think it is time because again, what has Mike McCarthy shown you outside of Aaron Rodgers? I do think he lied to Jerry Jones when he went in his man cave and said that, oh, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. AJ just told you they're supposed to run the ball more. I don't think they had the personnel to run the ball more. If you had Zeke with Tony Pollard, then you can. But you tried to make Tony Pollard a running back that is supposed to be physical, which he's not. He's your scat back, change your pace back. You try to make him a 3-down back, and he's not that.
But this is the thing, though. When he first came to the Cowboys, Jerry Jones said, hey, we want to go back to how it was with Dak when he was early in his career. When he first hired Mike McCarthy, I want to run the football. I want to pass it a little less. They haven't done that even with Kellen Moore. I don't see this is the problem that I do have with Mike McCarthy. He basically made Kellen Moore his scapegoat, the same way Matt Rule made Joe Brady his scapegoat. He threw that man underneath the bus and said, hey, he wants to go out there and he wants to throw the football all the time. You do the exact same thing. But you sit up here and you make it seem like that he didn't know what he was doing, that Kellen Moore was a bad offensive play caller. He didn't know football. Kellen Moore at a certain point in time was on the trajectory to be a head coach in the NFL before Mike McCarthy came there. You didn't hear about Kellen Moore when Jason Garrett was the head coach of the team. All you hear now when Mike McCarthy is there is, oh, man, it's Kellen Moore. And that goes back to what we were saying before early in the live stream. Jerry Jones has such a huge impact on this to where he fires the coordinators. Coaches don't even get that opportunity to go out there and do that. So Mike McCarthy knew, hey, if I keep doing this right here, he's going to get rid of him. He'll give me that power.
So now you see where I'm saying, like, Mike McCarthy deserves some of this blame, but again, it's not all on him. It's a collective. That's the word I'm going to use, and I don't think nobody's used that word between AJ and myself in the chat. It's a collective. Some of it is Mike McCarthy. Majority of it is Jerry Jones. Some of it is Mike McCarthy, and the players have to take ownership as well. And I think with, again, the first domino being dropped, now it's time to figure out what they're going to do with contracts. And again, it's not going to be easy and it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be a lot of hard decisions and it's going to be a lot of cutthroat going on.
Then I
So
feel like this is, like I said, for y'all in the chat below and anybody that watches this video later on, be on the lookout for Dan Quinn going to Seattle. I think they've checked off that Rooney rule, right?
they got one more, I think, but yes, majority of theirs are done.
I would get. Hey, I'm gonna leave that alone. I would get into that. I'm gonna leave that whole ordeal alone. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that ordeal. Now I'm gonna get into it. Bump it. You care about getting into that?
Go ahead.
All right, man. Look.
Close it out. So go ahead and go ahead and talk about
Yeah,
it.
bro. We got to stop the Rooney Rule, man. Look, we got to stop this. Okay. I don't want to see guys like Thomas Brown just get an interview just because.
He's black.
Yeah, man. Yeah, bro. It's one of the things that pisses me off about the NFL. I understand why they do it. They want to give everybody the opportunity, give everybody the right to go out there and get a job. I understand that. At the end of the day, these are billionaires. You're not going to tell a billionaire who to hire and who not to hire. If they want to hire them, they're going to hire them, whether you like it or not. That's what's going to happen. I hate that's even a rule in place in a hiring practice. Thomas, for the ones that don't know, and you have a lot of Panther fans, you know all about Thomas Brown. Terrible offensive coordinator. Nobody's hiring him. A college team wouldn't even take him right now. So to think that he isn't a candidate to get a job, no, he's just a cross-off. Then I've read a report. Most of the interviews with guys like that only last like 3 to 5 minutes. I just think it's stupid. We need to get away from that. What the Steelers did was great with hiring Coach Tomlin, and that's a situation for something later.
He's done great and deserves to be a coach.
Yeah. That's a different time period. Then they did the right thing by hiring him. Not every organization is going to do that, and it's okay to not hire a coach because of the color of their skin. I saw people getting upset with the Patriots. But they didn't complete the Rooney Rule because they hired Jared Mayo. I mean, they didn't have to. It was already written in his contract, and they already sent it to the league for approval. I just think that that's something that we need to get away from, man. I don't want to see people's time getting wasted because while they're over there taking an interview with a team that they think that can hire them, it may be a team that's already over there like, hey, I'll take a flyer on Eric Bieniemy, but he's taking a meeting with a different team. And now this position to filled up. The only reason we interviewed you is because of the color of your skin. It's like a reverse race card.
It's a rule that Roger Goodell tried to do, and I told you this. It's a rule that Roger Goodell put out there to compete with the NBA. I think the NBA has one of the best commissioners. I do watch a little bit of hockey. I watch a little bit of baseball. But I think the NBA, Adam Silver is one of the best commissioners in all of sports. And he's, the country has been through some things and et cetera. But they don't have a rule where you have to have a minimum of 3 interviews with Black coaches. And again, I think, like AJ said, it's a waste of time. It's really a race card, but at the same time, it just needs to be done away with because it's not helping the game or it's not helping the coaches. Because again, I'm interviewing for what and I'm not getting the job. I'm wasting my time. That's a short version I'll give about it.
I just think it's something that just needs to be done with, man. I'm just not a fan of it. I wasn't a fan of it when I first heard about it. I'm less of a fan of it now.
Yeah. So that's the close of our show, man. I definitely appreciate my guy AJ pulling up, man. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it, man. Again, like AJ said, we will possibly have a full panel on Sunday going over the playoffs. Looking forward to the AFC and NFC championship games before the Super Bowl, February 11th in Vegas. Again, I appreciate everybody that's in the chat. For the ones that are rewatching this, again, if you have not subscribed to What's Up, Doug, hit that subscribe button for us. Leave a comment as well. Also, head over to Pro Sports Talks with my guy, AJ. He will be doing some things with the video as well, man. Again, I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. I hope everybody stays warm. Everybody stays safe. Everybody stay blessed. Any other thing you got to say, AJ?
Nah, man, that's it. I hope y'all have a great night. Like you said, man, subscribe to Doug's channel. Come over to All Pro Sports Talk as well. And I hope y'all have a great rest of your night.
Yes, sir. Peace. Stay safe.